ruchi, taste. So that sweet taste furthers the anxiety. And that leads to asakti, attachment. And then attachment leads to bhav. Bhav leads to prem. All is a natural evolution. So right now in this Vaidhi Bhakti platform, our anxiety should be for increasing purification and increasing enthusiasm. So don't think the goal is to become mellow. In the New Age movements, this is their goal, to become very mellow and happy with a big smile on the face and very relaxed and peaceful and not in anxiety about anything. Huh? No, that's not enough. Not enough to actually satisfy who we really are. And who are we really? Nityasiddha Krishna Premi. That's who we really are. So it's 8:30. We can stop here. Are there any questions, Janu Prabhu?
Is it that the four sampradayas, they exemplify one of the liberations, one of the four Vaishnava liberations?
They exemplify? I've never heard about anything like that. No. Do you have any source for thinking that way? Or?
No, because you said that they that these four sampradayas they attain these four liberations. So maybe
they engage in Vaidhi Bhakti, and Vaidhi Bhakti leads to Vaikuntha, the Vaikuntha Bhav. Vaidhi Bhakti leads to Bhava, a kind of ecstatic spiritual state, but that's in Vaikuntha. And in the Vaikuntha, these liberations are prominent. They're a prominent concern. Just like there's this awe and reverence to the Lord. So the reason there's this awe and reverence is because the desire for liberation, being liberated from the material world is somewhat prominent in the minds of the devotees. So one is, still in this mood of, praying to the Lord for some favor. Let me stay here in Vaikuntha. But actually in Goloka, then that distance, that relationship of awe and reverence, it disappears. And one relates with Krishna as friend, as lover, as son. These are the prominent features of the mood of devotion in Goloka, these top three rasas. Dasya ras is prominent in Vaikuntha, and of course in the Brahmajyoti, or with Paramatma on the borderline of the spiritual and material world, with Vishnu, then Shantaras is prominent.
What about Lakshmi in Vaikuntha? She has conjugal ras?
Yeah, she has conjugal ras, but in this opulent mood, like the queens in Dwarka also. There are two kinds of conjugal ras. One is very intimate and sweet, as the gopis experience in Golok, and then one is filled with opulence, majesty. And it is also the marriage mood, you see, svakya, that is exhibited in Dwarka and Vaikuntha Dham.
I would like to know what is the relationship between karma and personal benediction in the destination of a person. If a person is like going to reap the results of pious activities, generally pious but cursed, how is that related?
What is that? Generally pious people are cursed?
If a person, how is the destination of a person, how is that between karma and benediction or curse? If a person is going to be destined for a pious destination, but then some person curses that person, and he may go down and take some kind of low value like that. So how is that related? If he's generally living piously, but then he goes down due to being cursed, so how is that?
It means that he's committed some offense, or somehow or other he's angered someone who's powerful yogi, powerful Brahmin. So whether it's an offense or just a simple mistake, he got himself into trouble. So then the effect of the curse is that the pious results are destroyed.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Just pushed up, going to be enjoyed later. How can they be destroyed? If
Right.
it's
A powerful person can do that.
Yeah.
Just like, but this is the point, that if one has engaged in the spiritual piety of devotional service, just like Maharaj Indradumna, so he was cursed to become an elephant. So he, of course, being a king, was situated in great material piety also, but he was a devotee. So his material opulence, or material results of his material activities, pious activities, were withdrawn, removed. He had to enter the body of an elephant. But still, the results of his devotional service, they were retained in the heart. So then, when he was grabbed by that crocodile, then he could remember to pray to the Lord. And then the Lord descended from Vaikuntha and delivered him. So material attainments can be destroyed. That's understood. That's why we call them material. But spiritual attainments are never destroyed.
And also, is it austerities which make a person, like superior person, able to curse or benedict? Is that austerity? Is not an ordinary person who can do that. He curses or benedicts. How is the qualifications in order?
Yeah, austerity is the means to attain power. So, depending on the mode of austerity, you see, one can perform austerities in the mode of ignorance, like that Vrikasura, who wanted to cut his own head off to please Lord Shiva. So this is austerity in the mode of darkness. But he received benediction from Lord Shiva. But it was also tamasic power. In the mode of passion, there are austerities. Just look at the businessmen, you see, running around the world, catching planes, catching trains, living out of a suitcase, martini breakfast. Like that, they're performing austerities in the mode of passion and ignorance mixed. For getting some worldly success in this lifetime. Then austerities in the mode of goodness, actually that is still material. That's aimed at the demigods. That's explained by Krishna in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that religion in the mode of goodness means worship of the demigods, according to Vedic rules and regulations. So that will promote one to a higher material position in the next life. And then there's austerity in the mode of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, which is transcendental, which is like the devotees when they engage in preaching Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada commented that the austerity of just going out on Harinam Sankirtan, downtown Copenhagen, when people laugh or, maybe sometimes they throw something or whatever, this is also some austerity. But Krishna counts that austerity as being millions of times more powerful than the austerities of great yogis who sit in the ice in the Himalayas. Just simply to go once on Harinam Kirtan and endure whatever you have to endure out there. This is so much more pleasing to Krishna, yields so much more result. But of course, devotee, he neither curses nor benedicts in the material sense, nor can he be cursed nor benedicted. So although he's performing the greatest austerity, it's not for that kind of power. Rather, it's for the power to preach Krishna consciousness. Madhvacharya has made an interesting observation that the fruit of bhakti, palon mukha vritti, is bhakti itself. Whatever we do is simply to further what we're doing. So we go on Harinam Sankirtan or distribute books or go preaching to become empowered to do more Harinam Sankirtan, distribute more books and do more preaching. And that's the real benediction. Jai Nishringa.
You were mentioning the importance of preaching. So also we hear that sometimes the goal of our preaching is to make devotees. So I was wondering if like when we go out and we should pray and beg and being excited in front of Jesus that our preaching or our Harinam will make devotees. Or we should just perform our service and let it be up to Krishna.
No, this is all part of, you see, we should be in anxiety to improve our service, to ourselves become more purified and to become more enthusiastic. Then if we are more purified, more enthusiastic, then we will be able, by Krishna's grace, to attract persons to take up, to enter our association. Prabhupada said that the whole goal of this mission is to simply generate appreciation in the minds of the karmis who observe us in our activities. They should appreciate. So they will certainly appreciate if they see pure and enthusiastic devotees. Now, but what you're saying is also, it's part of that. It's identical. It's identical. That we have our service to do. We want to become more pure, more enthusiastic. And the proof of that, because everything is practical in devotional service. It is not simply theoretical. Oh yes, I'm pure, I'm enthusiastic, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not accomplishing anything. Like Prabhupada told the story of two men in a discussion. And one man asked the other, it was a kind of hot discussion. So one man asked the other suddenly, "Do you have any intelligence?" And then that man who was asked this question, he started looking in his pockets. He was feeling in his pockets. And then the other man said, "What are you looking in your pockets for?" Because he was thinking, what, you're looking in your pockets for intelligence or what? And that man said, "No, I'm looking to see how much money I have. Because if I have some money, that means I have intelligence." So we can talk of purity and enthusiasm all we want to, but if there's no proof of it, you see, if we're preachers and nobody is joining, nobody's attracted, then that would indicate that there would be some lack in ourselves. At least we should take it that way. And so, yes, we should always be in anxiety. So if we see no devotees are coming, certainly we should pray to Krishna. Please send devotees. But you see, at the same time, you are Krishna's instrument. The preacher has to accept this responsibility, just like Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Like Prabhupada said, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita wasn't that Arjuna said, "Okay, Krishna, you fight," and he sat down and smoked marijuana. But the devotee becomes Krishna's instrument. So in making devotees, the preacher is Krishna's instrument. He has to accept that responsibility. He also cannot just pray to Krishna, "You do everything," and then he's, just, his mind is on vacation, when he goes out to do Harinam and preach and whatever he's always just somewhere else and not really into it with full vigor and attention. So, yes, purity and enthusiasm must be there on our part. We must pray for this. And if we become worthy instruments, then Krishna will send the devotees. Krishna will take it that yes, you are making nice advancements, so you deserve some credit. So here's a couple bhaktas. And then it becomes known, oh, Jaina Shrina, he just made 2 bhaktas today. He brought them back. Shaved them up.
You know, there's this saying, Buddhi Ariyasya Parintasya Nirbudes Tukusuparam, that a person who has intelligence, he has strength, and one who has no intelligence, he has no strength. So what is an example of that? How can one understand that? That if you have no intelligence, you have no strength?
Yeah, so that's, you just look at it in terms of 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains the difference between Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, real intelligence, which is situated on the spiritual platform. Atman, in other words, the intelligence is fixed in the self, in the soul, knowing that that is what I am. I am not the body, I am spirit soul. And Krishna opposes that to, what is that? Tayapahirta Chetasam. When the apahirta Chetasam, when the consciousness is deviated by material attraction. Manas Chanchalat Ashtiram. He tells Arjuna that the mind is very flickering and uncontrollable. So this is the state of the materialist. And Krishna says such materialist cannot become fixed in the determination to serve Krishna, to make progress in devotional service. He's always on the mental plane, always floating around, being attracted by this, being attracted by that. He just can't get it together to make tangible progress in Krishna consciousness. So one who has strength, that means strength in Krishna consciousness, strength to execute Krishna consciousness under the regulative principles. He must have intelligence. The real intelligence, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. It doesn't mean that he's a walking encyclopedia, you know. You ask him, on what date did, King Henrik III ride on his horse to Roskilde from his palace, here in downtown Copenhagen. And then he spits out some number. Yes, in 1822, on July 4th. That's not intelligence. If that was intelligence, then, computers would be the best devotees. They're very expert in storing away all kinds of information, but that doesn't add up to intelligence. Yes?
The Svaga and Pavaga. I understand this Pavaga is a system of earthly planets. So why is it that modern scientists or so-called scientists have not brought some information that they can observe these planets? They're supposedly closer than the heavenly planets, so why do you have some contact with some other earthlings on other planets nearby?
Because this is Kali Yuga, and there is a universal program or universal policy of quarantine. Quarantine? When someone if there's some sickness in a house like tuberculosis or whatever, then those people can't come out of their house and other people can't go in the house. So on this earthly planet there is sickness. Kali Yuga sickness. So this planet has been cut off from all other regions in the universe. That's why now when you fly in an airplane, you just go around in a circle, come back to the same point you started from ultimately. Actually,
there is a region of earthly planets around us.
Yeah, it's described in 5th canto. These different dvipas, separated by different kinds of ocean. But if you try to sail, this Jambudvip is surrounded by the salty water ocean. So you may think, let me sail to the next dweep or fly to the next dweep by traversing the ocean. But you end up in the same place you started from ultimately. So this is special arrangement nowadays. Because the human beings are not qualified. Nobody wants to associate with them. So they're prevented from leaving this place. Even if they built this fancy spaceship, they think they go to the moon, but they just end up in some desert somewhere.
Is it not also the case for the other earthly planets that they are also isolated?
That may be, but it is also stated that these other earthly planets are more material opulent than we are. So they may also be experiencing Kali Yuga symptoms themselves, but they certainly don't want us to come there. You know, it's just like rich people who live in their own neighborhood, and they don't want people from the ghetto coming. Let them stay in the ghetto. So they always make, in America at least, they make these clever arrangements, what they call zoning laws, and different clever arrangements so people from the ghetto can never move into a rich neighborhood. It's under the cover discrimination. So something like that. Mm-hmm.
These three liberations and the four liberations, Vaishnava liberations, are they present in Goloka Vrindavan?
Yeah, automatically. They're part and parcel of pure devotional service in the spiritual world. But you see, one should not make them the goal. One should make the goal service to Krishna. It is said, for a pure devotee, Prabhupada once said, liberation stands with folded hands, just waiting to render some service. And material opulence rolls at the devotee's feet, and she's crying out, take me, take me.
So I was also asking, Jimmy, we get flashes, but I was also asking, we did not get full answer. Like, why Dhruva Maharaj is asking Kuvera for remembrance of Krishna and devotion to Krishna like that, and how Kuvera can bestow that, since it seems like it is Krishna who is bestowing remembrance.
Well, yes, and as I said, it's already there in the heart. He's the Lord of wealth. So his normal business is he's guarding the treasure of the demigods, and when the demigods want to bestow some opulence on someone, then he's like the treasurer. So he's releasing that opulence. So he's in a position to directly or indirectly give opulence to the conditioned souls who please the demigods. So that's one way of understanding it. That if he does not bewilder the minds of devotees, and they can, by bestowing unnecessary opulence or opulence that cannot be engaged in Krishna service, then in this way the devotee is free to uncover in his heart what is already there, pure devotion to Krishna. But then another way of looking at it is that these demigods, they're all Vishnu Bhaktas. Vishnu Bhaktas Smrito Daiva. And their business of giving material benedictions, that's kind of that's a job they do, Just like a policeman or administrator, he's got his job. So all day, all kinds of less intelligent people come to him, and they're asking him for some help. And so he's doing that as his duty. But these demigods being themselves devotees of Krishna, so, that's like their inner ecstasy. They're doing this dull, boring job, but for Krishna. So if they happen to meet someone out of all these conditioned souls who actually just ask for Krishna consciousness, they become very happy. And then whatever is in their power to give spiritual benediction as devotees, devotee can do that. Vaishnava's blessing is even better than Krishna's blessing. Lord Shiva tells this to Parvati. Service to Vaishnava is better than serving Vishnu, because Vishnu says he told Durvasa Muni, Aham bhakta pradino yashpatanta iva dvija. I have no independence from my devotee. Sadhubhir grasta hridaya bhakto. Because their hearts are so pure, I am forcibly attracted to live in their heart. Bhakta janapriya. And I'm so much beholden to my devotees that anyone who becomes dear to them, a bhakti jan, a follower of these devotees, they automatically become dear to me. So it's actually difficult to become dear to the Lord directly. It's much more difficult. But the devotees are so magnanimous. So if someone becomes dear to a devotee of the Lord, then Krishna's automatically, he wants to so much please his devotee that if he sees, oh, this man is with you, all right, and he gives his full mercy to him, even though that man may not be qualified at all. Somehow or other, this devotee just likes him, and he likes the devotee. And then the Lord says, oh, he's with you? All right. He can also take the full load of mercy.
So the devotee in that case, he doesn't feel that I can get this, but it's said like that, where he's pleased to get benediction.
Yeah, he just becomes pleased. He became so pleased with Dhruva Maharaj's request. And then, he'll think, yes, whatever is in my power as a devotee of the Lord to give this blessing, certainly, whatever I can do for you, let me do it. And then when the Lord sees this, he becomes so much pleased. Of course, both of them are devotees, so the Lord just enjoys the reciprocation between his two devotees. It's not actually that Kuvera is giving benediction to Dhruva Maharaj, but the Lord enjoys such reciprocation between devotees. So he becomes pleased. They both get the Lord's blessing, Lord's mercy. Mm-hmm.
Another thing, what is this orange?
Well, this is a question that really has nothing to do with the class. This is called a danda. So it is carried by sannyasis. It consists of, there's inside some bamboo rods. Now, the basic danda has one bamboo rod. It's called eka danda. The jiva danda refers to the soul. And then Vaishnavas have 3 additional dandas, tridanda. So body, mind, words. So the Mayavadis carry only the jiva danda because they think that everything is one. So eka, you see. It's like an affirmation that I am spirit soul, and spirit soul is Brahman, and Brahman is God. So just by realizing that I'm spirit soul, not the body, I have attained everything. But the Vaishnavas understand that the spirit soul is a servant of Krishna. And so the spirit soul is now encased in the body and the mind. So with body, mind, and words, he can serve Krishna in this world and then revive his relationship with Krishna. So a sannyasi carries this danda to show that he only engages his body, mind, words, and ultimately his soul in Krishna's service and nothing else. So we carry that wherever we go. Another question? Maharaj?
Like for the soul is the most natural thing to serve Krishna, and especially to be in the preaching. So why some persons they get into the mission immediately, and some they are struggling for years, and then if it's the most natural thing to be in the preaching?
It's natural, but we may be unnatural. As I explained, we are in diseased consciousness. So that diseased consciousness leads to unnatural desires or unnatural tendencies. So then, as a result of that, we may not have the strength or enthusiasm to go out and preach Krishna consciousness. So then there's other options, because ultimately everybody is engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness, because this is the Sankirtan mission. But some of us may not be so directly engaged due to, perhaps it's due to our own contamination. Actually, as devotees, we should always think that way. This is the vision we should have. I would like to do more preaching. I would like to also be out and distribute books or preach Krishna consciousness directly. But I am too unfortunate. I have too many material desires, so therefore I'm supporting the preachers by my service. This is actually proper attitude. And by such attitude, we will get the blessing of spiritual master and Krishna. So it may be due to our own contamination, or it may also just be due to necessity, that somebody has to stay back in the temple. But then in the temple we should develop that vision that this is the Sankirtan mission on all fronts, in all services. We are ultimately pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement. That's a very healthy point of view. To connect our service, whatever it may be, working in the kitchen, serving the deity, to ultimately connect what we're doing with the preaching mission and to maintain that consciousness. Then we will become very enlivened in our service. And that's, in this way one becomes a preacher. Then, you see, it's also this kind of like mood of separation. One is doing one service in the kitchen, for instance, just for example. But always thinking of preaching. Always thinking how this service also is pushing on the preaching mission. And I wish I could preach, but I have to do this. And then, but by that constant meditation, then Krishna reciprocates. Krishna will sometimes send someone one afternoon when there's nobody around, and some nice person comes to the door, wants to know about Krishna consciousness. And the only one who's there is Kitchen Mataji, so she can bring the person in and give prasadam and preach. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Anyway, the point is, if one desire is strong enough, if one is really desirous and really has the determination, then one will certainly get this opportunity for full engagement in the preaching mission. There's no doubt. Any other questions? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.